Hello, assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to Your Property Show with myself, Hasina Mumtaz, and Cam Ali. Now, earlier on, we were talking about finance. Although we're discussing commercial property today, we've got about 15 minutes to the end of the show. So please do call through the numbers on the screen with any questions that you have regarding property investment, management, and development. Okay, so we were talking about finance earlier, but one of the things I was wondering about is the tax benefits of commercial property. Because presumably there must be some good tax breaks.
Yeah, I mean, again, the interest is allowable, so whatever. And with this stamp duty, 3% extra on buy-to-lets, commercial property, it doesn't apply.
Right, okay.
So this is why commercial properties are starting to make a comeback, because you're still potentially you're saving about 20, 30 grand in stamp duty, depending on how much you're buying it for. And there were some changes on capital gains, where it's reduced, so that you can apply to commercial property, but not to buy-to-let. So another advantage there. So there are few. I mean, the reason.
That's a really big break, because last time you mentioned, that could add an extra 9,000 on what, £250,000
or even
purchase.
about 20,000, depending on what the value is.
Yeah, that's a huge break.
Yeah, so the government is probably indicating, say, look, we don't mind you, buying, doing lots of commercial properties, because that's not to live in. Where the problem is the shortage of supply is residential properties. So that's where they're making efforts to try and shift the investors out of buy-to-let and give first-time buyers a chance to buy. So the tax advantages are quite good. I mean, clearly on stamp duty you're saving huge amounts, and then going forward on capital gains as well, the rates have been reduced, and that applies to commercial but not to buy-to-lets. Okay. So that's another one, and you get all your usual relief on interest, the full relief, whereas on buy-to-lets it's going to be restricted. So there's another advantage there. Just generally, you can even get some entrepreneurial relief if you're doing development and stuff like that. So, yeah.
What, help with building works and things?
This is
upgrading, that kind
of
stuff?
Yeah, you get capital allowances and stuff like that on those things, yeah.
Great, that's really useful to know. We've got a caller on the line, so we'll go straight to our caller. Hello, welcome to Your Property Show. What's your question? Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
I'm in on. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can hear you.
Okay.
What's your question?
I'm looking to buy a HMO property.
Yes.
And there is 4 flats on the one building.
Yes.
So do I go for a commercial loan or buy-to-let mortgage?
Okay. Yes, HMOs are fantastic returns at the moment. The rents are very good, so it's a good investment. Now with HMOs, it's in the middle where
I don't know if all our callers might know. What's HMO? Do you want to tell people what that is?
Housing multiple occupation, where so in one house you might have 4 studios or 6 rooms or whatever, and you have the right licenses, so you get good returns. The rents are very good compared to the price you pay. So what happens is there are some specialist lenders. So all commercial lenders do lend on HMOs, but some buy-to-let lenders, they don't lend on HMOs. They say, look, we only do straightforward buy-to-let, single tenancy, a short-hold tenancy, single-family houses or flats. Yes.
But at the moment it's empty.
It's empty, yes.
The property is empty.
Yeah, if the property is empty, so it depends how is it empty as a house or as a HMO?
HMO.
So if it's a HMO, it doesn't matter whether it's empty or tenants in there, as long as you have the right paperwork. So there's a selective number of lenders that you can approach. So you can't go to every single lender and say, look, I'd like to get a... If you approach a professional broker, they will tell you what the rates are, which lenders that will do HMOs. But unfortunately, more than, like I said, there's not many lenders, but there are lenders that will lend to you on HMO. They're very selective. So you have to, you can't just walk into a branch and say, look, it's better to approach a broker. They can search the market and say, look, these are the 3 lenders that lend, and this is the rate, and these are the terms and conditions. Okay? So it's quite a specialist lending. That's why they're not able to, every single lender lends on HMO. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much to that caller. That was a great call. We've still got about 10 minutes on air, so you've got plenty of time to get your calls through. So please do call in with your questions. And as demonstrated by the last caller, we'll take questions on any topic.
So,
So you were talking about the tax breaks.
HMO is becoming very popular simply because it's fantastic returns.
Yeah, a lot of
it's
money
better
to be
than
made.
even the commercial properties because it's more hassle as in managing. So instead of managing one tenant, potentially you're managing 6, 7, 8, 10 tenants in one property because you've got the studios or you've got the rooms, but the returns are good.
Okay.
You get the fantastic returns. But then when the brother mentioned about the finance, not every single lender lends on HMO because it's specialist lends. So you have to go to a specialist lender that will lend. But there is finance out there.
There is money to be made there.
But you have to approach the right broker, and they will be rather than you try and go to all the banks, say, look, do you lend? They will do the work for you for a small fee. I'm sure they'll do it.
We've got a couple more callers on the line, so we'll go to them now. What's your question for Kambai? To our first caller, please.
Hello.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. You're through to the studio. What's your question? Welcome.
Hello. I have a question. I run a restaurant in Kent. Just wondering, is it a good idea to purchase that property to do a business?
Yes. We had that discussion earlier, isn't it? So the gentleman owns a restaurant in Kent. He's thinking, is it a good idea? It certainly is. If you can afford to pay the deposit and get a mortgage on it, and you're able to maintain the payments, it's a fantastic investment because you can lease this property out in the future to another restaurateur. You can potentially sell it, and you can enjoy the rents. And it sometimes works out to be a better investment than the actual business. It's something that you can retire on. So I certainly suggest you get some advice from some solicitors or estate agents and brokers, and get some help and try and buy this property.
Okay, great. Hope that answers your question. So you were talking about tax benefits, and one of the things I was, because you mentioned quite a few of the different sort of tax benefits, because it's long-term investment, what about inheritance tax? Is it exempt on commercial property or not?
No,
if you want to pass it on to someone?
So that comes under the normal inheritance tax. But if it's, there are some capital gains. If it's a business property, then there are some reliefs on that. But in terms of inheritance tax, there isn't any change on the normal stuff.
Doesn't make a difference.
I mean, there's ways to structure it if you need to. If you plan ahead, then there wouldn't be any inheritance tax by way of companies or trust and whatever you. So, but there's no particular advantages on inheritance tax.
Okay, and I think you were saying this earlier, but generally speaking, do commercial property values rents increases?
Commercial, it's a funny one because you expect it to increase quite significantly, just like the residential, but in most areas it hasn't, simply because the demand hasn't been that great because of the online businesses. Hundreds of thousands of online businesses taken where the office space is not required or the retail shop's not required because they're doing it from home, from a depot or from industrial. But say for instance, but then you have the demand for warehouses, for instance, gone up. So the rents have gone up significantly on industrial and warehouses because people need warehouses to stock their goods rather than in the shop. So, but then saying all that, good locations always rents go up, as we were talking earlier. So if it's in London or in around London or in a nice town, more centrally based, in a prime location, it's bound to go up because there's always demand for prime location properties. But then if it's a secondary location, and then you've got to be careful on where it's because it's possible that you could have long periods of no rent increase simply because the demand hasn't been great. So it doesn't necessarily go up. It used to be quite steadily going up, but then there's been a period after the recession where it hasn't because there's been a lot of empty properties and stuff like this, and businesses struggling because of rates. But then the government's made some good changes recently as well. Where
just before you come on to that, we do have a caller on the line and they're waiting. Sure. So we'll go to our caller and then we'll come back to that point. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. You're through to the studio.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. What's your question?
I'd like to know This is a gentleman, he's a mortgage advisor.
Yes. Yes, I have a estate agent and I'm also a qualified mortgage advisor, yes.
Yeah, if any chance we can have any contact number, so I'm looking for a mortgage.
Yeah, if you contact the studio after the show, I'm sure they'll pass on my details.
Okay, your name, please?
Business there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, okay.
Thank you to that caller. We've still got 5 minutes, so we've still got time to squeeze in a few more calls. So please do call in. Hello? I think we've got another caller on the line. Okay. We don't have a caller on the line at the moment. So what I was going to ask you about, because you mentioned about, sorry, going back to your point.
Yeah, so some of the high streets is coming back in fact because people want to go out and do a bit of shopping, and the government is helping in terms of rates, where it used to be if you had £6,000 rate of value, they've more than doubled that to 15,000. So most of the small businesses don't have to pay rates anymore. So that helps. So what the landlords will probably do is increase it. They know that there's no rates to pay. They say, oh, they can afford a bit more rent. So again, the rents will probably creep up a bit. And with all the tax changes, there's a lot of focus on commercial properties again, saying, look...
Ah, someone's managed to squeeze in the last few minutes. So can we go to our, another caller, please? Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yes.
I know you are finishing. Just a quick one. I run and own petrol stations,
Yes.
and I'm looking for a platform to bring in Bengali people into this trade.
Yes.
What would be your advice? That's one thing. And the other one is, some of them owns 8, 9, 10 properties,
Yes.
but they are not under limited companies.
Yes.
And with this new law changing about you can claim 100% of your interest on the mortgage, what is the best thing to do, please?
Okay, so I'll answer the second part. It's more relevant to us, I guess. So the tax changes, how will that affect if somebody owns 8 or 9, 10 properties? That the interest that if your income is more than 34,000, then you have an impact. If it's less than that, then there's not really going to be any change. The interest relief is not the 20% rate. It's not going to really affect you much. But certainly, if you're a high rate taxpayer, then yes. But that tax implication is being brought in gradually. So it's over the next 4 years. So you've got plenty of time to plan ahead. It's difficult for us to cover everything, and it's best to go see a good tax expert or an accountant to get advice on it. But you can certainly plan and save a lot of tax. A lot of people are thinking limited companies. A lot of people are doing deeds in trust. So if a partner's not working, you can shift some income towards your partner and share the rental there. So there are a lot of scope to save tax and plan ahead. And the government is not doing it immediately. They say, look, it's spread over 4 years. They're going to bring it in. And you're still allowed to claim interest relief. It's been restricted at 20% tax rate. Basically, what that means, if you're a high rate taxpayer, there is an impact, and it will cost you a lot more in taxes. But if you're below that, then there's not going to be any impact at all. It's best to sit down with an accountant for about half an hour, and I'm sure they'll go through it in detail. And it will depend on your individual circumstances, how much you earn at the moment, whether you're married or not, whether you have children or not. It's quite easy to set up a management company even.
I think our time is up, actually. So once again, the clock has beaten us. I'm going to have to stop you there. But that brother is very welcome to call through to the studio after the programme ends and have a further discussion with Cam. So that's the end of another show. I can't believe it. 4 shows down, and it goes so quickly when you're on air. So please do join us again next time for your property show. Assalamu alaikum.